YouTube, this is Accyrsed. I'm pretty sure this is my third video in 3 days. I've been working a lot on this program, and as you can see, I've got kind of far. On that note, I've gone through all of the bugs that I've seen and fixed every single one of them, somehow. On that note, I'm pretty sure version 2.0 is ready for a full release, so I'm going to be uploading that very shortly into the actual releases folder. And I'm going to leave the beta stuff up there, but I would strongly advise against using it. Fix the icons. Now they're visible again. I don't know why the icons don't exactly want to have a better scale to them. They stick to the 48-bit, but oh well. If I figure that out, I'll fix it. Otherwise, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, so this video is more or less just a statement that this is complete. And for any of you who do not know how to use this new version, I'll be explaining that now. So any of you who know how to, who have already seen me use this, or who have tested this potentially, that I don't know of, just, you don't have to watch this next part. So if you go ahead and open up the rigger in the compiler, I will explain exactly what's going on with this. When you open up the rigger for the first time, it will generate a config.ini, or ini. It will fill up with this information here. Yeah, that might do that. User error. Just ignore that. It's not anything, it does not remember the user when it defaults, so user will remain error, and it's still fine. Anyway, so these scripts, I will have a script somewhere in here. This is my folder of versions. Ignore that. Forgot a script. There. It's just a matter of filling out the information just as the other one, but it's selecting a script in a different way. Now I'm over to the compiler. This is where you would type your code. This chunk right here is usually intended to be removed unless you want it as reference. Some of this stuff does not actually work, but all of the methods that are here at least have the correct technical name. I don't really know how to explain this fully. I kind of explained it in another one, but I'm just going to clear it and vaguely explain what it does. So if you put the octothorpe or the pound key or whatever you want to call it and write the word delay, you can set the delay between actions of the script. This is kind of necessary, and I would strongly advise either 100 or 200. I do 200 in my scripts. 100 is okay, it's reasonable, but 200 it usually is better. At least when it comes to drop downs in physics. I mean, maybe with the bones you can get away with 100. I don't exactly know. Then there is octothorpe or #info, which allows you to set the info setup for the program. I'm going to open up PMD editor to show you along with this exactly what's going on. So it's just a matter of, you can say, like, is this box right here is the info box. This has a default one from the script. Maybe that'll be changeable at some point. For now, it doesn't. So I'm just going to close that back out. And the way I work with this is I actually usually have two versions of the compiler open. One of them has the methods, and the other one is the code. So I'm going to go down here and look at the values, which actually only work in the info for now. So, for example, we could just say I'm looking for the $, user model, which will replace it with whatever model the user is creating. The name, the set name that you would put in, and then we can do script model, which is the actual character they're using. And then we could just say rigged by, let's just say script auth. Oh no, wrong one. Username. And then if we put another info, it creates a new line. Continuing this on to the next line with more text like that, it'll just keep going across, even though it looks like a new line. But this is officially a new line. If you hit enter and type the octothorpe info or pound info or whatever you want to call it again. Also, you can say the, just putting in more rigged by script name, and then script version. Just going to put a V. And that's essentially how the info works. This is going to take a little bit to explain the rest of the stuff. There's a lot, sort of. These are where you actually name the script. So let's just say test script. I'm going to put my username there and just say version 1.0. Just 1.0 is fine. Model, currently none. Password, I'm going to leave no password. But if you check off use password and type in some form of password, it will make that required to edit the script. I'm not using a password. The only thing the password cannot be is the word false. If you put the password as the word false, it will be without a password. So the way this works is you can simply type in like the methods over here, and wherever it shows like an X or something, or a Y, X, Y, Z in this case, oh yeah, never mind, ignore that. That one's broken. X, Y, Z, or on, if it shows an X, you can put it in with a number or text based on the syntax. If it shows X, Y, Z, it's usually 3 numbers. Same with the A, B. But if it's like on, off, or like in this case sphere, cube, or ellipse, cube, you would put one of those words. If it's a single letter, though, it's usually just the number or a word or something. So if we type in tab.info, we can bring ourselves over to the info tab in PMD. And then we can just do simply info.write, which is somewhere down here too. Info.write and info.name. That will write the description in the box and then name it. Although it might be a good idea to do them the other way around, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, now it's named, and now you would be able to go to the bone tab, or the mesh tab, or whatever you felt like it. It's just a matter of that, so you can just do like bone.select 7, bone.coordinates 0, 12, 0, or something like that. These are not actually legitimate things, but oh well. These are just random bone statements. On that note, you can also do user input prompts, as seen in the last video. For example, let's just say picture box, and this will be a pick the model. I'll just store it in pick one, and I forgot to put in the prompt, but oh well. That'll be a later build for the handler. Besides, it's a little bit more complicated to get text on the picture thing, as it is to just get pictures. So we will do cbs.png. It has to be 2 commas, not a period, because where the period fires, it thinks this is the method name, and that's the method. It's not. And then, in this case, colons can't be used. I might change that very soon to a different character. Maybe the equals key, but for now it's the colon. And then I'm just going to do the other ones. Actually, I'm just going to leave it at 2, just to make it a little bit easier and capable of being seen. For the picture box things, the photos that it uses are up to 320 by 320. They're always, They're always square, no matter what. Although, if the photo is taller than it is wider, it ends up being too tall in the prompt, but that's, oh well. If it's shorter than it is wider, then it ends up being shorter. I don't really know how to put it. The width is always 300, the height changes. Or width is always 320, or whatever it ends up being. Anyway, also there was message box, which can also be written message, or MSG, or message box. There are different ways to write some of those things. Like that could just be picture. It comes out, it equates to the same thing. So we could just say, we can also do an if statement. If, we'll also declare a variable. I forgot that I don't have the full text thing working, so you can't actually Like, you can't do the pick one that equals a string. It has to be equals a variable. So this outputs a number, so I'm just going to do num1 equals 1. And then if pick1 equals 1, then message box 0, or message 1, 0, you selected, and then code Battle Seraph. And then I'll put the double commas for a period, and then %end. So only on that case, only if Battle Seraph was selected, it will output that message. Otherwise, that does not make any difference. That's basically the entire way this works. You just look at the methods and you type in the methods you need. There's menu.swap, which will take this and it will basically pop it over to the old style menu. And then you can work with the IK chains a lot easier, and then you can just do menu swap and it'll pop it back. That's about it for this sort of thing. I mean, this is oversimplifying it to an extreme degree. There's also, for this, there's also drop list and input box. Oops. Input box. And it should just be a matter of variable and then input some text. And then same in this case, and just prompt here, and then option 1, option 2, and then, like, I don't know, a random word being option 3. It's kind of just, they work usually like that. Just comes out to whatever the actual prompt you want is, and then usually a name, and then followed by the rest of the syntax. The message box, it needs a number. But, oh, I forgot about the input box. Forgot about this one. Either true or false right after the variable. The false means it is not a password and it will keep the text like this. But if you write the word true, it should mask the text like a password. I could be somewhat wrong. It should. I haven't actually got around to testing that. I probably should have, but I'm just going to explain what this does in just a second. I'm going to File, Save Script As, and I'm just going to call it Release Test. And in saving it, note this thing does not reload anymore. It just does its own thing. It just sits there. So I can now close that out and minimize it. I'm going to close that out to show a cool functionality of the rigger. I can open the release test script. Okay, so a bug that I thought I fixed that had not come up for a long time came up. So I'm going to have to save that again. Yep, I'm having issues. Figures. Okay, ignore that. On occasion, this will break and kind of just, it completely messes up. So I'm just going to fix that. Reload the rigger. And please forget that that happened. It's not supposed to happen. That's kind of a bug. Anyway, under the Diagnostics, you can actually pick the location of PMD Editor. I probably already explained this in a previous video, but I'm just going over all the functions. When you select the PMD Editor, it won't do anything. But if you go back to the Diagnostics, you can click Open, and it will actually load PMD Editor. Auto run means whenever the rigger runs and PMD Editor is not running, it runs it. I will explain the rest of the stuff in a minute. File open, kind of self-explanatory. Same with file exit. The about, well, that doesn't really do too much other than explain what compiler version goes with what rigger version. You can also change the language on the fly. For example, I can swap this to French right now. Oh, whoops. In theory, you could swap this to French. Slight issue. I will fix that. That was not supposed to happen. That should have changed on its own and changed to French, but apparently I have a bug. I'll fix the bug. It's not too much of a big deal. It's just the language has to be changed in the configuration file by typing in the word before the file extension. I don't know, it's a bug. I'll fix it. If you go over to the 5th tab, the bone tab, and you under Diagnostics and Visible Method Color and click it, it will take over PMD Editor for a second, generate a bone, and then grab some screen color coordinates. Most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't actually do it correctly, and if you see weird text in this box, it did not do it correctly. So I'm just going to try that one more time. There. Yeah, it spits out the on color and the off color, and then it writes it in the config. So that for computers that aren't Windows 8, it actually works. I'm now going to show you what the original script that I made, that I just built here. I'm just going to make, what did I have, bone 7? Do 8 bones to prove it. And I'm just going to tell it to do its thing. I'm going to put regular name and model name, test model. So now if I tell it to go, oh, here we go. Ignore that one. That actually can be ignored, kind of. Just click OK when it pops up, I guess. I forgot about that. So if you notice, it picked up a 2-picture prompt box. So I'm just going to, you know how I did the if code battle serif? I'm just going to select that one. It output 1, and then I apparently made some issues. Forget about the release. I will fix the release within the next day or two. But it was working, and now it's not. So if you notice the prompt here and then the option 1 and all that, yeah, that one worked. Option 1, input some text in the thing. And if you notice, it's not blocked. So you put the word text. And it took the word text. And then it goes back to the old menu type, as I mentioned. This is always going to be at the bottom. No matter what, the body of the info, that's always there. I don't really know, I think if there's much else to explain. I'm just going to open the new thing, and I'm just going to show that works. I'm going to pull up I have a working script for this now, a decent working script. I'm going to check on everything there. That's not necessary, just for the sake of seeing what happens. To open that script, it's the official script for Eve. I'm going to put in my own name there. I keep forgetting to check that. There will be occasional bugs where bars show up down there. I'm not that great at making this program, so it's going to happen. Anyway, if you just click OK, it will actually get to doing its thing. And this is all based on an arbitrary file, just a single small file. You notice it's checking the visibility of the buttons on the right, and it's clicking them if it needs to change. Like some of them, it just goes over there and sits there, but doesn't click. That's simply because it needs to be on. It's detecting the color of the button to determine if the bone is on or off and changing it accordingly. So I'm not really going to show too much of this. It's just kind of going through its list. All the methods in the compiler are the correct methods, whether or not they work. So I don't really think there's much else to say about this. There's a few bugs. I forgot to close out some message boxes in the actual text. So I'll do that, and then I'll probably have a release later tonight, if not sometime soon. On that note, there isn't really that much else left to explain. Just this is pretty much how to work it. It's not too difficult, especially if the script's already made. Making the scripts can be a little bit more annoying, but it's not really that bad. I'm gonna reopen that and see, what did I do wrong? Selected that. Oh, yeah. The if statement didn't work because I checked to see if the variable pick1 equaled the variable 1. I forgot, it's the variable num1, because num1 equals 1. that would be my issue. That's why it didn't say you select code battle serif. It's a lot of syntax-based code, and it can be kind of annoying to work with, but yeah, I think that's about it. I'll have another update soon. Thanks for watching, and be back at some point again soon.